Good morning, everyone. It is February 7th, 2025. It's Friday, about 9:15 a.m. Eastern U.S. New York City time. How is everyone doing? Did everyone survive the Monday crash, as Redditors were calling it? Okay, let's look at the pre-market tape. S&P futures are up 0.08%. NASDAQ the same. Dow up 0.0767%. The Russell is flat. VIX futures are down 0.8%. Treasuries are down. Gold is up about 0.5%. Crude is up 0.8%. Nat gas is down about 1%. Bitcoin is up 3.2%. The FTSE is down 0.16%. The Nikkei closed down 0.6%. Shanghai index closed up 1.37%. And the US dollar is up 0.08% versus other currencies. Fantastic. Oh, I just saw that Nikola announced that they are nearing bankruptcy. Didn't see that coming. Didn't see that coming 3 years ago. This is the longest bankruptcy ever, or the longest path to bankruptcy. I'm very surprised that they were still a publicly traded company. So we just got jobs data, which doesn't really matter these days. But there were fewer jobs than expected. Fewer jobs added than expected, rather. Tariff wars both began and ended. Nothing to see here. Did anybody buy the dip? Or was everyone too worried? What else? Tariff wars started and ended. What Trump said, we're going to take over the Gaza Strip. I'm a little bit foggy on the details of that, but I'm not sure that he knows where it is on a world map. Let's look at some news. Tesla. Tesla's been having a bad time. Their Chinese sales dropped 11.5% year over year in January, with Model 3 and Model Y deliveries down 32.6% from December. Meanwhile, BYD saw a 47.5% year-over-year sales increase. And Tesla also raised U.S. prices of its Model X by $5,000. I think this is a good example of what not to do, just in general. I know sales in Europe tanked like 50% year-over-year, I think, which is just crazy. Yeah, Germany, of all places, Germany wasn't too fond of what Elon did. Yeah, it's against the law now over there. I have a good size short on Tesla. I think it's time. Elon is acting like a damn fool, and those cars are not as good as people thought they were. BYD is eating their lunch, and he's raising prices. So that's, that's not going to work. bank stocks have been having a good time. The Fed unveiled its 2025 stress test with smaller economic shocks and easing regulatory pressure. Citigroup rose 2.9%. Morgan Stanley, Goldman Sachs, and Bank of America also gained a little bit over 1.5%. And I know JP Morgan, they were up about 2% yesterday. JP Morgan had a hell of a rally at the end of the day. JP just looks like just unstoppable. And I think if memory serves me well, I don't even think they're growing. Okay, so pretty flat sales. What about earnings? Okay, we have some growth, but not from 2024. Yeah, earnings actually are set to decline from last year over the next 2-3 years. And the stock price, it just looks like they're untouchable. JP is king. Oh, man. Let's see. What about Goldman Sachs? I recently got some long delta exposure to KKR. They had a nice drop on earnings. Goldman Sachs is doing well. Citi, yeah. I'm not sure what it's going to take for the big bank stocks to come down a good amount, but I get it. I get why the markets are in love with them. If you brought somebody, say, from like 10 years ago, and you just brought them ahead 10 years to today and showed them like bank valuations, they would think the markets had lost their minds or we're in a bubble. But this is just how it goes. The big banks. It's insane. Not even that unreasonable, to be honest. The valuations they're high, but you get what you pay for. Premium price for premium stock. OpenAI is evaluating U.S. states for data centers under its $500 billion Stargate AI project, with Texas as a flagship site. This is not quite news, but it's in my news feed. Yeah, okay. Yeah, that's kind of old news, I think. That's today. Whatever. I haven't seen any real updates on that. It still just sounds like big fancy numbers. It'd be nice to see something that is reminiscent of a plan, perhaps, or a concept of a plan. We could use a concept of a plan for Stargate. Spotify signed a multi-year deal with Warner Music Group, it's ticker WMG, to expand audio and visual content and introduce new subscription tiers, potentially including a hi-fi super premium option. So, for any of you audiophiles, every time you hear hi-fi or super audio premium whatever, you're immediately thinking yeah, it's bullshit. But I guess that's nice. What else we got? Trump meets U.S. Steel CEO. Trump hosted U.S. Steel CEO David Burritt at the White House to discuss Nippon Steel's $14.9 billion takeover bid, previously blocked by the Biden administration. Is this guy going to allow this? Let's see. Is Is he meeting today? I know you met with him yesterday. Man, U.S. Steel. Yeah, I gotta say at $30 a share, I made a trade. Every time it goes down to 30, I make a trade, make a bullish trade. But I never just take pure long exposure. It's usually very short term, sell a bunch of cash secured puts or buy some short term calls. I wonder what a buyout offer could look like. The previous one, or Nippon offered what, $50 a share? I think is what it was. I do know. Last I looked, the options liquidity was terrible. Yeah, the markets on this stock are just awful. This kind of reminds me of Twitter before Elon bought them, the autistic Nazi. They received the bid. Stock price went up. I think it was Hindenburg. Hindenburg shorted them, said that Elon doesn't have the capital. He's going to try to back out. I joined them on the short, and then, sure enough, Elon tries to back out. Stock price tanks. Hindenburg flips. They say, okay, the first criteria has been met, but he's not. The courts aren't going to allow him to get out of this, and he's going to be forced to buy it. And then they went long, and then I joined them, and Twitter, sure enough, the shares rose because court said, no, guess what? You got to buy the company. That's what U.S. Steel reminds me of, except it's had I don't know how many instances of buy us, don't buy us. Yeah. And they're headquartered here in my neck of the woods. I think people here are kind of mixed about it. And I have a feeling it's mostly because at least Pittsburgh, like the city itself, is quite liberal. And and then you have the Steelworkers Union, right? So they were kind of against the idea of the company being bought, like, or, you know, I think it's fairly, you know, it's a capitalist thing, right? And, you know, it's kind of like, well, what about the jobs? And then the company itself was kind of for it. But then there are people that are really unhappy with management. And then Biden blocked it. And now Trump is in favor. So I think they're pretty mixed. Overall, I'm pretty sure it would probably be a good thing because Japan has already indicated that they're willing to make like really good deals with the U.S. in terms of exports. So it's probably better that they do this. They could probably run the company better than current management. But we'll see. I got a few seconds before the markets open. Netflix is weighing a Formula One bid. They're considering buying Formula One's U.S. TV rights. Ticker for that is actually LLYVA. Starting in 2026 as ESPN's current deal expires at the end of this year. Formula One's growing U.S. popularity driven by Netflix's drive to survive has attracted interest from multiple bidders, including Amazon. That could be interesting. Formula One is really picking up speed. Sorry. I think the markets are open. Got a few more newsy type things. Let's watch the markets for a second. Honeywell. I went pretty big on selling cash secured puts on Honeywell. And then JP Morgan is calling. Let's see. What do we got here? You got to pick up when JP Morgan calls. Let's see. How are we looking on these? $275. Are they going to drop down to $275? I don't think they will. If they do, I'll close out my short calls. But I don't think they'll drop to $275. I just don't see that. Okay. Honeywell. I am doing very Honeywell on those positions. It's just too easy. These stocks, they just make it too easy. Okay. I can't even remember. Did I post a trade? Any of my wealthy donors. Did I post a trade on Honeywell? I don't think I did I? Monolithic Power. Oh man, they gave up a lot of those gains. I'm still happy though. 4 or 5%. I'm happy with that. That means I made a good play. But they were up like 19, 20% overnight. I am holding that. I have calls, and I sold some cash secured puts actually, which I'm just gonna hold. The strike 600. Merck is whatever. Let's see. Palo Alto. Palo Alto's looking nice. I'm up about 56%, 55% on June calls. The Pelosi trade. All right. TLT's down a bit. How's Tesla? Tesla's trying to come back up. I sold strangles on them to offset any short-term losses on puts. Yeah, I don't think it's going to hold that. This is just nothing but bad news for Tesla. And let Trump say one thing that Elon doesn't like. Elon's going to go full Kanye in, I don't know, how long? I want to say this year. This year, I think Elon will go full Kanye. Let me know if you agree, disagree. All right. S&P futures now up 0.16%. NASDAQ up 0.35%. Dow is flat. Russell is flat. VIX futures are down 0.9%. The markets are chill. Viasat, are they holding? They're 6.6%. Its stock price was ready for launch last night, am I right? But then it was more like failure to launch. Like that terrible movie that flopped in theaters. Does anyone remember that? Uber is, I think they're right back to where they were. Yeah, never mind that earnings dip. Uber is good to go. The calls on that relative value play, yeah, up 64%. No problem. Nothing to see here. Those other relative value stocks, they're not doing too hot, but I think the hit rate's still good. So I think those do just fine. JP Morgan. All right, they're looking all right. Okay, let's see. How is China doing? I like China, and it's been a long time since I've said that. Yeah, maybe about half a year. No, I think earlier last year. Actually, yeah, it's been about a year. Yeah. And then they had that grand squeeze. And then I cashed out. What was it? Baba. I don't think I had Baidu. Baba and JD. I think those are my big positions. Just had that massive squeeze September, October. And now I have Baidu, and that's doing well, and KWeb. KWeb is the tech-heavy ETF for China. And I think not everything looks great with China, but I don't know. I need to look more into it, but I think they're going to do well. I think investors are going to find their stocks more favorable this year. Ironically. We'll see, though. I need to work on that thesis. It's not much of a thesis right now. It's just a random idea, but I think it's worth looking into. Speaking of stocks that are worth looking into, Mexico is in an interesting position. We're about to send all of the good labor back. All the construction workers, the janitors, the people that tend to your homes. Yeah. Yeah, that'll be interesting. Could be some opportunities there. I think this, in a way, sets up Mexico for growth, because I don't think the income, a lot of the income that is made within the U.S. from immigrants, that a lot of that doesn't go back to Mexico, right? So you kick them out. Well, they don't really have a choice. They can't spend money here, right? Or they probably wouldn't want to, to be honest. How's NVIDIA? NVIDIA's looking nice. All right. I think we got plenty of plays that are working well. Okay. We got 42 days for those March spreads on NVIDIA. And I think those are worth holding. I think your swim is slowing down. That's fantastic. Let's see. Is NVIDIA... Oh, it's only retraced about 50% of that drop from a few weeks ago. Very interesting. All right, let me finish this news right quick. Super Bowl weekend favors Caesars. CZR. Caesars is leveraging Super Bowl weekend to promote its $500 million casino renovation, as New Orleans expects 125,000 visitors at the Caesars Superdome. Hotel demand vaulted 637% week over week, and average room rates hit $650 a night. Security measures are heightened due to recent safety concerns. Well, that's nice. Caesars and the hotels should do well. I was about to say, I like to look at Hilton. Look at what they just did. 258 to 274. Yeah. Maybe Caesars is the better play. I'll come back to that. YouTube targets TikTok users. Google is now running ads on TikTok targeting content creators, aiming to lure them to its platform amid uncertainty over a potential U.S. TikTok ban. Yeah, that's probably going to work. But I still don't think TikTok is going to be banned. They're probably not going to be bought out. I don't think this is going to go anywhere. I think people keep forgetting that TikTok is about majority owned by the rest of the world, not China. So 60% total is owned by not non-Chinese companies. So, if anything, the big problem would be that the Chinese government has a 1% holding of TikTok, and it's a golden share, which can give them sort of backdoor access to the company's operations. And they have influence over the board, stuff like that. I don't blame them for that because the U.S. does similar things, just not through public ownership. So the U.S. might, I mean, it's no secret that the U.S. has backdoors for plenty of our technology, right? Applications and software, whatever. So what's the difference between that and China? Well, China publicly discloses it. So now China looks a little bit more honest. That would be nice if the U.S. just said, yeah, we do that. Okay. We're going to now buy shares to show that we do that. And, now we have a golden share. And it's 1% of every company, right? That would be interesting. I don't know if anybody has ever taken that perspective on U.S. versus China and interest in businesses and backdoor access, whatever. But yeah, China literally, they publicly disclose that now. Basically, that's what that's saying. So that's what the big deal should be about, but it's just about money, frankly. Sonos is still public? I guess they had that failed buyout attempt, right, a while back. Sonos laid off 200 employees as part of a restructuring effort aimed at streamlining operations amid declining demand and internal challenges. Yeah, all right. No big deal, I guess. Wildfire costs. Allstate expects a $1.1 billion loss from January's California wildfires as part of $35 billion to $45 billion in total industry claims. Speaking of the wildfires, how is Edison doing? So Edison, it's looking like they might actually be blamed for the wildfires. I'm not sure if it's been confirmed, but I know I've seen stories that say it looks like it was due to like a faulty power line or something like that. But I think they're still doing a full investigation. However, having seen that story and looking at the stock price, I'm kind of curious is, one, I'm not sure about the legitimacy of the story. Or let's say it's already being priced in. Let's say the markets already believe it. I kind of want to sell put spreads at some point. I might wait to see, but IV is extraordinarily high. They still have a dividend, 6.5% dividend. Alternatively, PCG would be the play, and made that bullish play back in what? This is mid-January, and then we got it real quick. Bought below 17, then it bounced up real fast, and got out. So PCG might be the play here, might be, but this is definitely something I would want to take another look at. So that could be interesting. And hooray, wildfires are being contained. All right. Let me look at your lovely comments. Yeah, yeah. Let's see. Let's glance at the SPY crash. Does anybody know what I'm talking about? You look on Reddit like Monday, and people are asking, "What do you buy during this crash?" I was busy. I was out. That's why we didn't have that morning talk. And I just bought a bunch of SPY spreads, call spreads in the morning. Made near max profit because they changed their minds, or Trump changed his mind, whatever. Let's see. Tesla, yeah. I really want Tesla to drop for, reasons. But also it's just bad business. Tesla's just going to start trading based on the fact that Big Balls has access to the treasury and does whatever Elon wants. Yeah, I think if you know what? Right as I'm about to say this, I just had a thought. Elon's going to spin something off. Elon's going to launch a new company. I know it. I was going to say if Tesla or if Elon had a much smaller company, then I wouldn't mess with it. I wouldn't short it, at all. Maybe trade it, right? But I wouldn't take like a sizable mid to long-term short position on it. But Tesla's they're just far too big, right? I wouldn't be surprised if it gave up all the gains that it got from the inauguration. I don't think that's too far-fetched. And I think they got some gaps to close. Yeah. They got, let's see, what's this down here? 215, 217, around there. We'll call it 220. Yeah, they got a few gaps to close on the charts, so. And I think we're getting plenty of reasons. And then Trump and Elon don't really seem, I don't see the brotherly love there. I don't think the synergies are quite there. So if Trump's not on his side, I don't think anyone is going to be on his side. I don't think they care how much money he has, to be honest. And Elon likes making bets. I don't see him just throwing money at members of Congress, right? Like in some fashion, or I'll fund this project for your state. I think he's well, you know what? I'll say it. I think he's a con man. I don't think he's a politician. But then again, how many politicians do we have that are also con men? I feel like I'm not really saying much right now. Elon's going to start a new company. He's going to take some company public. And I think what would be crazy is if he splits up Tesla. That would be nuts. That would be the smart move. I don't know if he's going to do it. Unless he just really likes the idea of Tesla becoming, like a $5 trillion company or something like that. I could see his autistic brain wanting that. Not that there's anything wrong with autism. Let's see. And he's building an army of bots in Cali. Well, he's a little late. His bots kind of suck compared to Google's. So Google's been working on that forever. Sunflower, good morning. Nice GIF. I don't know if you saw it, but somebody on Tasty Trade sent a question in, and the name was Sunflower. I don't know if it was you. Signal. Hey, I thought LVT premium was automatic deduction for PayPal. Paid in January, but see no payment made for. Okay. So PayPal, if you go through PayPal, there's no recurring subscriptions. So unfortunately we have to do it every month. I was looking into setting up recurring subscriptions. I have to use like an integration needed through Stripe or I think there's another one. Square, I think it's integration through Square. There are ways to do it. One of them, I would have to make a website because I can't. It doesn't give me just like a link. It gives me like code, like HTML to put in a website, and I'm probably not going to do that. So I think for now, unless it charges you an insane amount of money, I think. Frankly, it just makes it easier for everybody if you just go through Discord. Again, don't use the mobile app because the mobile app is gonna upcharge you something like 30%. So definitely don't do that. If Discord on it's desktop on the website, not mobile. If Discord is still charging like a lot of money, then let me know. But frankly, I think it's just way easier. Like I'm keeping a spreadsheet of everyone that's subscribed. There's about 30 of you. And I have to keep track manually, like, who to remove or who to, who's paying for another month, whatever. And some of you guys, you have like pauses, you have breaks in between, which is fine. Like that's a different story, right? But if you're just going to keep paying every month, then I would say just go through Discord. Again, if it charges a lot of money, like if you do the web app, the website, then let me know and I'll look into it. And enough people say like, hey, this sucks. I don't want to do this, or it charges way too much. Then okay, I'll try to use Stripe or something. But that's what it's going to be. It's going to be one of those integrations. So yeah, just let me know what it charges. AC will probably need an audio interface and proper headphones to listen to high bit rate audio. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, for the Spotify thing. Yeah. Alibaba bought 10% of DeepSeek? Really? So that's why it's been rallying hard. Wait. Okay, so Alibaba said that they have their own LLM that's I forgot the words they use, but basically they said it spanks DeepSeek, is what Alibaba said. But they also bought 10% of DeepSeek. So, I mean, frankly, that's a smart move. If I ran a company like that, we had that type of money, that type of cash, and then we had competitors, yes, I would say, yeah, let's buy some shares of that company while we create our own rivaling platform. Absolutely. Nike's under $70. Nike cannot get it together. Just do it, Nike. They're at $69.41. Man, almost oversold again. Have to look at Nike again. Nike's just having a bad time. Look at that chart. I think this is worse than CVS. Maybe sell some cash secured puts. When do they have earnings? Middle of March. I go aggressive on these puts. I don't see it dropping too low. This is, man. All right. Let's sell some. What are these spreads? Oh, these spreads are terrible. Okay. I sold some put spreads on Nike expiring February. Strike 69. Short 69, long 67.5. Pretty aggressive, but we'll see what happens. I think break even's pretty wide. Or pretty far. Yeah, I got till 68. About 68.60. That's not too bad. Kevin, you say you're looking at houses today? This is the scariest investment because it actually feels real. Yeah. I was going to say because you can't buy on margin, but technically that's what you're doing. Unless you're buying cash, then more power to you. Yeah, I decided a long time ago I'm not getting a house for a long time. I can't even sit still in one city. Like, there's no way. I mean, as an investment to flip, okay, maybe, but I don't want to have to manage it, to be honest. Like, I could just use my money to trade in that case. But buying a house, I don't want to buy a house because I can use that money to trade. Sunflower said it wasn't you. Never watched their content. You should. You should check it out sometime. It's not bad. I think in the mornings a little bit better than like midday. They're just kind of rambling. But I think it's around 8 o'clock, 8:10, something like that. They have they just kind of go through news, and Tom and Tony, the head guys, they give their opinions. They're pretty well informed opinions. Sometimes a bit silly, but a fair perspective. Those guys have been doing this for over 40 years, so they got like 30 years on me. Please move to Atlanta and be my sugar mama. Say Atlanta, absolutely not. She's good in Jersey, Ben. Spotify related to Apple CarPlay adding support for Dolby Atmos in automotive sound systems. Go Palo Alto calls. Yeah, I don't know about that. I just know about the Warner Music Group partnership. You know what? I feel FOMO forming in my mind. I kind of want to buy call spreads on Nike. And I think since I want to go direction and doing call spreads, I'm going to do about 45 days out. That's March. And IV's pretty high. But I do want to make a call in direction. It's not quite oversold. The options aren't crazy expensive. Now that I look at them, they're a little pricey, but I don't think markets are pricing in too much movement. I think for earnings, it's a $7.50 movement. I think I'll take that. And that's 42 days out. So before earnings, you got under $5 movement, $4.87 by March 14th. Yeah, that's not that big of a move. That feels a little underpriced. And it's starting to move up as I'm looking at it. Let's see. I think I'm going to just buy the 75s. I think I'd rather sell those. Buy the 72 fives. Let's compromise. How about the 70? I'll buy the $5 wide. I think that's wiser. Do it like that. Okay. I'm not sure how sure I am about this trade, but I don't know if I'll post. Maybe if it drops further, I'll go ahead and post, but I don't know how confident I am about this. Especially when these spreads are this terrible. Okay, filled. Nice. All right, I got it for 135. So, that's why it filled because the price dropped. Long 72.5, short 77.5. Man, the spreads, they just widened. Yeah, that's lame. Okay, we'll see how that goes. Earnings for next week. Did we have anything interesting this morning? I know we had Monolithic Power yesterday. Very happy with them. That's a sizable position for me. One of the few actual undervalued semiconductor chip stocks. Elf, that's what I want to look at. All right, let's glance at Amazon real quick. Amazon's down. Oh, look at that. Let's see. Oh, man, it's a blip on the chart, on the long-term chart. Let's do some... I want to do some call spreads. Maybe. Yeah, let's do that. Okay. Yeah, spot call spreads on Amazon expiring today. Long 232.5, short 235. I don't really feel like gambling. So, I do. Well, I mean, this is still kind of a gamble, but not full on gamble. Otherwise, I would have bought the 235s. Look at that. Look at that thing drop. That thing just insta dropped. Okay. And then look at Elf. Affirm. How's Affirm? Affirm is up. Holy hell. If anything, I would have sold cash secured puts. I forgot they reported earnings. IVR plummeted. How are the options priced? The options are still pretty juicy, even though IVR is down. I think I'll sell some strangles. Maybe not. These spreads are really bad. Okay, maybe not. How's Pinterest? Pinterest is up 18.5%. IVR is 45. What was the high? High was 43 in the pre-market or after hours yesterday. High today was $40.90. Yeah, I think I'll hold off on that. Powell. Powell's the company. Nice. All right, back to Elf, the one I wanted to look at. They're down 23%. IVR is 58. I think I would like to sell puts 65. Yeah, let's do that. Should I go March? March is very juicy. Yeah, let's do March. 40. I guess I'll go to 55 for the spreads. What's that looking like? Okay, let's do that. All right, so put spreads expiring March on Elf. Short 65, long 55. Markets are pretty wide there, so unfortunately. I'm probably going to take a look at them a little later because I've been waiting to get in for a long time. I think it was maybe, yeah, it was late 2023 is when I was looking at them, contemplated, added them to the watch list in the server. I remember doing that. they came up as a potential relative valuation candidate, but they were a little bit too young of a company. And then they went from, what was that? Like, I want to say I was looking at them, maybe it was 110. And then they flew to 220. And I think I looked at them again when they were below 160. And then went back up towards towards 220. And so I just never got in. I think I made a few trades, but yeah, this does seem like a pretty low price. I have to take a look at them. See what ails them. I just realized how quiet it is. No Andy. Oh, Ben. No, poor Ben. Say you need a life in do you have an Altima? Altimas and Chargers don't need a license plate around here. Can save on registration costs. Will Trump do his usual tariff over the weekend? No, he's going to the Sunday game. He don't want the crowd boo him. Is he actually going to the game? Because I'm pretty sure he's going to get boos. Maybe he'll get cheers because some people are still, we have lost pups that haven't found their way home. But I'm pretty sure he's going to get boos either way. Do I think Hilton will keep running after the Super Bowl? No, I think this is sell the news. Your wife has some shares. She works there. I mean, if it's part of like a compensation plan, then it's a different story. But Hilton's been on a tear, man. I've watched that stock for a long time, wondering when to get in, and just being too cautious to get in. Elephant Bill down bigly. Ben, you're going to buy some advanced money destroyer? How are they doing? Wow. They cannot get it together. IVR is 6.5. Let's check those call options. I think I saw a post on Reddit. Somebody asked about, I think it was AMD? Or I think maybe one of you guys shared a post on Reddit, and it was some guy talking about selling a bunch of puts on AMD or something. And somebody said, he's like, what should I do? Somebody said, close them out. And if you like the stock and want leverage, take a look at the leaps. I think that guy got downvoted, and then the original poster commented, said, that's too high risk for me. And then somebody else was like, that's like a bad idea. I was really confused. If you spend a limited amount of capital on very long-term calls versus selling a bunch of puts in the very short term, that's going to be far less risk. So I think those people have lost their minds, or they can't do basic math. Yeah, dollar risk, it should be lower, unless you don't load up on leap calls. You don't go too far out, but even if you went far out, you're going to spend less, so the dollar risk is definitely lower. I don't think people understand what risk is. Sunflower transactions, money transactions only come to me, okay? This is the Ponzi scheme that I'm running. Cash App tag is It's Loose Ventures, by the way. So I'll send pictures as well if you request. Times you cover inside Elon Musk's war in Washington. Ew. Market dumping? I don't know. Is it? Has it been dumping while I've been talking? How's Amazon? Amazon kept going. Oh, wait a second. I didn't get my phone call from JPM. That's because JPM doesn't give a shit. Okay. I'm trying to see. I got MACD and all sorts of indicators here. All right. Let's do some SPY. I would do SPX, but that slows down Thinkorswim to all hell because it's terrible. This isn't much of a drop. And if I were a smarter man, I would wait till 11. But I think I can get away with this. All right, let's do that. Please get me in. Thinkorswim. That's a good price. You're not going to get me in, are you? 63. Okay, it got. All right. And now the SPY's moving back down. That is quite oversold. What was said? Something just said. That happened promptly at 10. USA wholesale inventories. Okay, whatever. Honestly, nobody cares about that. Let's see. We're at 604 now. Just blew through 604. It's about oversold on the 15-minute. I would like to be cautious about buying more. But yes, I think I'm going to buy more. You know what? Maybe I should wait till 11. Time for SPX to slow down Thinkorswim. Let's sell some put spreads. 60-40, 60-30. I think I'll go for. It's about 30 delta. Just do 10. Do that. See if that gets filled. Okay. Back to SPY. Let's see. And then I'm going to buy some more spreads. I'm going to move it down one. All right, I bought some more SPY call spreads. Come on, 20 more. All right, there we go. 605, long 605, short 607, and then I have long 606, short 608. We'll see how that goes. I'm probably done with that unless it really drops. Then I'm going heavy. All right. Oh, what's Google doing? Down 2.6%. Ooh. Okay, let's sell some put spreads. Any news? I don't see anything. All right. 180s? Yeah, 180s just fine. And when do they have earnings? They just had earnings. Yeah, 180s I think are good. Play a little safe because I'm taking on a good amount of risk overall. And I might short some deltas somewhere. Man, what is up with markets today? The spreads everywhere are shit. $41. Okay. Google has a gap to close. Okay, I'm gonna leave that one there. I'm not gonna. I would buy call spreads, but not today. Inflation about to go to 4% next year. Oh, yeah, we'll see. I hope not, but who knows? Trump has to attend to make sure no players kneel, and there's nothing about ending racism painted in the end zone. True. Good thesis on AMD. Okay, bye. This software consumer. Oh yeah. Sorry, you guys were posting why the SPY was down. Very true. Yeah, I guess they increased. The Michigan inflation expectation went up to 4.3% for next year. That's a bit. I think it's a bit much. I don't think we've seen hard data that says inflation is going to jump 1%. Don't get me wrong. I think there's a good chance that inflation could indeed go back up. What with current policies, but I think it would make more sense for institutions to say, okay, we're raising our expectation by 0.25% and gradually over time instead of like a big 1% jump. I don't quite agree with that. That doesn't sound very a cautious economist. Sounds like somebody's making a bet. Sounds like what one of the banks would say. But is it possible? Of course. I just think it's not very economist to make that jump. Is there any way to predict inflation when the tariff policies are changing every few days? True. I mean, that's another thing. Like that's why I think gradually makes a lot more sense. I mean, who knows? Like, it could go full 180 on all of this. Like, we don't know. You honestly don't know. So I think I'm a little bit surprised to see that from Michigan's numbers. It's a bit bold. All right. Speaking of bold, how are my SPY spreads doing? Okay, we're looking all right. We're up on the recent batch I bought. SPX is looking fine. Okay. Oh, Viasat's launching. Hey, I still have some calls left from that big leap play we made. What was it, like a month ago? Speaking of things doing really well, how's Nintendo? Oh man, Nintendo. What? Why are my cultists not more excited about Nintendo? Look at this beast. Went from 13 to 18 in, what is that? What, 2 months? We'll call it 3. We'll say 3 months. And now it's 1775. A year too early. Okay. What time is it? 10:20. Oh, we've already been on for an hour. Before YouTube people get bored, I'll probably end the YouTube stream. I guess my quick take on tariffs. I mean, mostly what I just mentioned a few minutes ago. I don't think. I think it's going to be very hard to predict what's going to happen with tariffs. And when I say that, I mean it's not just binary. It's not just will there be tariffs or won't there. There already are tariffs in place, but it's key to think about what the percentage will be and on which goods those tariffs will be on. There could be higher tariffs for particular goods versus, say like energy. Energy will probably have lower tariffs. But it's simply too tough to call, especially when you realize how many materials and goods tariffs can be imposed on. To just make that broad call, I think, is a little crazy when, Trump is the one that's going to decide. That's just, that's like trying to predict a specific stock price, every week at the end of each week. It's just crazy. So I don't know. I don't think anybody really knows. Maybe some people have an idea. Maybe Trump has like a few friends. He's like, check this out. I'm going to make the people go crazy or whatever. But this is what I'm going to do, ultimately. I don't know. I don't know if he has dementia. I don't think anybody knows. So I think it's very fair to make the prediction that inflation is probably going to go back up while he's, over, say, the next year. But as it relates to tariffs specifically, where to put your money, I don't know. But I will say the same thing is said, was November, December. Everyone's talking about the Trump trade. The Trump trade, man, that waned out pretty big, but the banks are where it's at. So if you're already in the banks, good job. But I think the banks, and that mostly relates to fiscal policy, right? Regulation, and also monetary policy. I think the Fed is being 110% transparent about everything. So the banks are still good. Companies that don't rely heavily on international materials or demand, those will be good. And there are smaller companies like that. There are semiconductor chip companies like that. And then stick to the secular trends. So basically, U.S. focused, they'll be protected, but not too much international exposure. So I'll make a trade on Ford, but Ford is not the play. It really isn't. And I know a lot of people say, "Oh, American, whatever." No, they get parts from China and Mexico. So any company that's like that, manufacturing company that are American, U.S. based, it doesn't mean they're good to go. Really doesn't. Probably means they're in a worse spot. And a lot of manufacturing companies, industrials companies, they're reporting earnings saying that they're having a lower guidance and tariffs are starting to hurt. That's what Ford just said. So you're going to have to get very specific with industrials and manufacturing, which there are plays there, but you are literally going to have to look at their revenue exposure as a percentage, to international countries and economies. But I think there are plenty of plays. I think cybersecurity is good. The treasuries are nice here. Treasuries are going to do well. for a while. Nat gas is still on the table. Let's see, what are the futures trading at now? Okay, so kind of consolidated. Yeah, I think nat gas would be fine. I might sell some cash secure puts or put spreads. UNG's still doing well. Interesting. But yeah, LNG's coming back down. That's pretty nice, actually. How about KMI? Yeah, actually, nat gas stocks have sold off a bit. UNG is still outperforming. I might make a bit of a... Yeah, instead of selling cash secured puts or put spreads in UNG, I might put some capital towards the LNG plays, such as LNG or KMI. Okay, interesting. But yeah, nat gas is good. Cybersecurity is good. Healthcare is going to do very well. And then some of the beaten up semiconductor chip stocks and energy stocks, like First Solar on the energy side. Brookfield. Oh, Brookfield's doing well. All right. So, yeah, I think if anybody's trying to call specifics on tariffs, I think they are fooling themselves because you know that's going to change. I mean, look how rapidly it changed in one day on Monday. Even I would say, like, listen to people that are older than me and that have more experience. I think the sticking to American companies, American focus, I think that's the obvious play. Like, that's really obvious. And then it's like, okay, we'll find the companies that are like that. And there are plenty. I've mentioned plenty. But aside from that, like making a trade on tariffs or statements about tariffs, I think if Trump says something similar to what he said Monday, next time, take it with a grain of salt, but don't assume that he's going to flip-flop like he did past Monday. I know in the past, in his first term, he's bound to say something random, something that brings a little bit of a shock to the markets, but it's not exactly like a clear-cut pattern. So don't expect him to always say something about tariffs on every Monday and then within half a day walk it back. You could definitely get burned. Like if you think the markets are going to rebound, buy SPY calls, zero DTs or whatever. Don't expect that. But I would say if he does say anything related to tariffs, absolutely take it with a grain of salt. Don't jump into like the opposite trade or whatever. Like, oh, this is going to be really bad for Mexico because tariffs. I'm shorting, the Mexico ETF. Not so fast, And overall, I think I'm willing to bet that tariffs won't be as bad as people think. I think he's going to continue talking shit because that's what he does. But I don't think they'll be as bad. I'm more worried about his other policies. And you could still get in a trade war without crazy tariffs. So all I'm saying is don't get too caught up on tariffs. There are a lot of other risks to the markets and other ways in which he might say something and then walk back. So, yeah, I would say keep an eye out for that if you're trying to make short-term trades, trying to trade Trump rhetoric. Did he say something else? Let's see. I will be signing an executive order next week ending the ridiculous Biden push for paper straws which don't work. Back to plastic. Okay. I don't think anybody really cares. There was a push? I don't remember a push. Whatever. Large automotive tier 1 customer you support is extremely worried about 25% tariffs on Mexico. Yeah. Lots of assembly for North American automotive parts in Mexico. And with the profit margins, 25% tariff would be unsustainable for business. Trying to pull in production for some of the highest cost units before tariffs might hit. If any of the talk about 100% semiconductor tariffs to Taiwan actually happens and gets added on top, it'd be chaos. I think the semiconductor chip tariffs are the biggest bullshit of all the tariffs. He caused chaos in the markets in his first term, and I'm pretty sure that as long as somebody, his advisors, someone, they gang up on him and say, like, last time you lost favor and the markets dropped when you did this, he's going to say, oh, okay, never mind. So I think that's the biggest, like, that would be by far, like, the biggest impact. Tariffs on Mexico, automotive sector, yeah, they're going to have a bad time, but it's not like the end of the economy. You know what I mean? Or it's not going to bring global GDP to a crawl. It's not going to tank markets. Markets will just move money around, and they'll say automotive stocks suck. Automotive stocks always suck. It will be bad, but and it will contribute to inflation. But I think the markets will adjust based on that versus semiconductor chaos round 2, electric boogaloo like that. Yeah, I think he would have. I'm trying to think of a good idiom for him, like lost his marbles. No, he definitely already did that. His brain would have to be functioning at like very low capacity, and then he just doesn't know who he is anymore. And then he's like, yeah, 100% tariffs on Taiwan and semiconductors. Yeah, he would have to be 100% gone to do that. So if he says something like that, causes semiconductor chip stocks to drop, I would be very interested in selling vol on that and probably buying dips in certain stocks. How's TSM looking? Yeah, TSM, I mean, honestly, I would say look at TSM, and that's a very good gauge of whether or not the markets believe that's going to happen. TSM is untouched right now. Like, it's had a few dips here and there, but this TSM. TSM has always had, the past like year or two has been very calm for Taiwan Semiconductor. Before, like during COVID, the height of the COVID pandemic or before, TSM was a very different stock. So I think right now, if you look at the long-term chart, yeah, nobody cares. They don't believe it. Not really. But I would be looking at TSM. If TSM starts to show, if there's extreme volatility, kind of like what we saw back in August when BOJ raised rates, if you see that and that's like a monthly occurrence, then okay. I think the markets are starting to believe that Trump is really going to do something about semiconductor chip tariffs. If not, I would use TSM as the barometer. Yeah, markets, I don't think they believe it. What it said, or somebody said, he said you, I don't know who you is, makes you think of Intel. Did they build that chip plant? Oh, you're probably talking about Ben. Percent will keep a check on him. Speaking of the effects of, I'll read a few of your comments and then I'll call it a day for YouTube. Speaking of the effects of Trump's rhetoric, there were rumors going around in Fredericksburg, Texas, among the Latino community that ICE was going to set up roadblocks and go to schools to round people up. Half the town didn't go to work that day, and the town was paralyzed. Yeah, that's what happens when you remove half of the workforce. I don't understand Abbott or Texas governance at all with this rhetoric. Like, I'm going to say this in quotes because I don't really mean this, but forget racism, forget xenophobia. Just look at basic data, and you are threatening your entire like state economy by saying we're going to deport all these people. Like, I don't understand it. But I guess what Abbott, he's old as hell. Like, what does he care, right? What do really, really old people who have already made a lot of money care about consequences? I think that's something maybe people should be thinking more about. But don't adopt beliefs of really old people that have no skin in the game anymore and are already rich. Yeah. Misguided negotiation tactics, intentional effort to make chaos in the markets to get better prices to buy in are both more likely than him being serious about high semiconductor tariffs. Yeah. It'll be interesting to see how the immigration policies play out. Interesting is one word for sure. Okay. I'm going to call it a day for YouTube people. SPY's looking all right. Let's see. Yeah, quick look at the tape. SPY futures down 0.25%. NASDAQ down 0.5%. Dow is down 0.2%. Russell is down 0.34%. VIX futures are up 0.6%. Treasuries are still down. Gold is up 1%. Crude is up 1%. Nat gas down 1%. Bitcoin is up 2%. US dollar is flat versus other currencies. All right, YouTube people. I'll call it a day. Might hang out in Discord for a little bit longer in case anybody wants to join me up here in live talk land. For YouTube people, I'll see you Monday. Have a good weekend. And Discord, we'll keep the party going for a little bit. All right. See you guys.